The American church really is gay.
Are you asking me out on a date?
Effeminate.
The Bible appears more to whisper when it comes to sexual sin.
Shallow.
I said, I want the African American 7.
And full of cowardly leaders.
Are we going to keep bickering over secondary issues?
America desperately needs to return to the Father. Either we fall on the rock and are broken, or we fall on the ground and are crushed under that rock. To fall on top of the rock and be broken is exactly the condition in which God brings reformation and revival. So which way is it, Prodigal America? Are you coming home to the Father? Join us this Reformation Day in Fort Worth, Texas, October 31st through November 2nd at Will Rogers Event Center, just days before our presidential election. And join with the thousands of us for the blessing of gathering together with God's people and celebrating God's goodness with beer and psalms. Hear from speakers such as Dr. James White, Pastor Toby Sumter, Pastor Doug Wilson, Dr. George Grant, Gaben Knox, Steve Dace, and more. Don't forget our Business Makers Conference, Jumpy Castles for the kiddos, after parties, single events, the Pastor's Luncheon, the Business Leaders Luncheon, and many more surprises coming. America has squandered her inheritance far too long. It's time she repents and returns home to her Father. Fight, Laugh, Feast presents Prodigal America. Legacy media is falling apart, and as it crumbles, a void is opening, a void that we intend to fill. The big legacy news networks currently average just 1.2 million viewers a weeknight, and those numbers are only going to get lower. Legacy media is dying, and the younger generation has moved on. Legacy media panders. Legacy media lies. Legacy media does not know what the truth is, and they don't care about it. Legacy media is a dumpster fire. This is why we few in our wild imaginations have started the Fight, Laugh, Feast Network. Our goal is to take down the legacy media giant of the last 50 years with our 5 stones. We started in 2016 with our flagship show, Cross Politics. Since those small beginnings, we now air on DirecTV. Our broader podcast network now gets over 4 million downloads a year. And our Fight, Laugh, Feast pub, which includes TV shows like This America, The Rowdy Christian's Guide, Pastors in Politics, and As the Lord Pleases, with your support, many more to come. Our goal is to become the flagship new media 2.0 network over the next 50 years and take over nightly news, sports, sitcoms, hunting shows, and more, all conveniently stored for you in our Fight, Laugh, Feast pub. We're already reaching the next generation through our podcast shows on YouTube, X, and our pub, while also tapping into legacy media audiences by airing our shows on TV through DirecTV and Xfinity. We have made a lot of progress with some duct tape and a good bit of intuition and a lot of sweat. And now we need your support more than ever. The TV networks have had such a negative impact on our households, and we're trying, by the grace of God, to put a stop to that. We have the opportunity. We just need the army. Now more than ever, we need you to join our pub to help us reach our goal of 1 million pub supporters in the next 5 years. There's no way around it. Competing with Fox and the Alphabet networks without money is virtually impossible. It's cheap for you to join. And when you do, you're combining your small monthly support with a growing army of like-minded Christians. We have thousands, we need millions. So if you want more of the Alphabet network's misinformation and lies, don't join. But if you want to give us a mere 5 stones, then please join the pub, and together we will take a swing at the head of big media, all the while fighting, laughing, and feasting to the glory of God.
Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
Really? Take it all away.
Yep,
give
after
it
last
to
night's
some
debate,
other
yep.
guy. The government.
We're starting there. The government.
The government can.
The government can.
Where did this
The
song?
government takes.
You don't know where this came from?
I forget. You told me before.
Bro.
Yeah.
No.
I don't
Okay.
know.
Whoever can tell us in the comments where this song comes from.
The government takes
Gabe's gonna give him a free membership for a month.
Power hungry and what?
First comment.
I'll send him some merch, coffee mug or something.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, y'all, it's actually Scotch and Psalms Wednesday.
Because last night was crazy.
So, because last night was so bad. The debate was so bad.
Day after the debate, we do Scotch and
Scotch
Psalms.
Psalms, not beer and Psalms. We need to concentrate, right? We're going to fact check. Not every lie.
Oh, I hope
if we're
not.
going to fact check every
I
lie in the
hope
debate
not.
last night,
So
we'd be
boring.
here for quite a while.
Yeah.
Okay, quite a while. So we're actually going to spend some time fact checking today, and then we're going to get into beer and Scotch and Psalms. And Toby, what's the Psalm today?
It's Isaiah 49.
Isaiah 49. You keep messing with me.
Look,
All right.
the Psalms are all throughout the Bible.
Yeah, I dig it.
Get ready.
Oh, this is such a great version of this. So I got a sweet little postcard. Mailed to me. Mailed to my address. Says Gabriel Wrench, Cross Politic, and then my home address.
Okay.
So you got to be really nice because anywhere you live at.
My home.
So,
Listen to this. And it was done on a cereal box. This is actually a cereal box.
Because paper is expensive
And
under
take
Biden's
my address off
administration.
there. I just flashed it. So far
just doxed himself.
So far from Christian, people who want to go back in time to a rigid white male-dominated world, sad you live in fear of other people.
What? Wait, I didn't even hear.
That was the postcard.
Read that one more time for me.
So far from Christian, people who want to go back in time to a rigid white male-dominated world, sad you live in fear of other people.
Gabe, I got one song for you.
Hillside. I know. They got my address. They freaking got my address. Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that about you,
I
Gabe.
got this card like yesterday or 2 days ago. I was like, oh, someone sent me a nice little postcard. And I turned it around. It's cereal. It's literally Cheerios, it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Cereal box.
Yeah.
With
Get it fingerprinted.
The word, I know. Well, the
Y'all better be careful. Gabe lights stuff on
I already
fire.
picked it up, and I think my kids brought it in. So there's, it's because I thought about that. Yeah.
Are you thinking differently about your family's finances and resources while others worry about surviving to the next paycheck? The hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. That's from the Proverbs. Train your mindset to see where God is moving, where to invest and build so you can create, protect, and pass on wealth. What's your plan to use your economic power? Joe Garrissey with Backwards Planning Financial coaches his clients to make this kind of impact on their world for generations by integrating investments, debt, insurance, tax-efficient strategies, and legacy planning. So go to backwardsplanningfinancial.nm.com. That's backwardsplanningfinancial.nm.com and connect with Joe today.
Did someone? I was looking in the chat real quick. If someone got it right, did someone get it right? Someone watching the chat, they got the song right. Oh, they did. Okay, well, make sure they email us to get a coffee mug or something. I'll send them some merch.
You can read the chat so you can figure out what that is.
What was it?
I'm not telling.
I can't. There's too many chats right now. Anyways,
He did a Chick-fil-A skit too, just so you know. Maybe by the end of the show you'll get it. I'm just gonna leave that there.
Just
It's
gonna keep-
some trivia for you.
okay.
Does anybody else feel hungover from last night?
A little bit.
I've been a Christian my whole life. I'd never been drunk before. I never. I don't even know it. I never smoked weed.
But the debate got you drunk.
For whatever reason, last night I woke up this morning like I thought I got good sleep. What's wrong? It is
It's like, oh, that debate.
the debate.
That debate.
I feel a little
It got
hungover
me.
from the whole debate.
So we actually we thought we'd first check in with AI on how they would fact check the debate. So let's start here.
Okay.
My plan is to build a wall, no taxes on tips, increase the child tax credit, and cut the cost of insulin. I believe this will make America great again.
I should just give you a MAGA hat since all you know how to do is copy me?
You're a racist. You tried to end democracy with the worst event in the history of the universe. You want to end the Constitution. You called veterans suckers and losers. You want to be a dictator with Project to 2025. And you won't let us kill babies.
I mean, that's pretty much the summary.
That's a fantastic summary.
a 20
and
second-
everybody thinks AI is not useful.
No.
Right.
Shame on
It
y'all.
just summarized the debate in like 20 seconds.
I'm just a little disappointed that I didn't get another response from Trump.
One more.
Well, there was more to it, and some of the words it had some cursing in it, and so we actually
we got beep buttons. Beep.
Yeah.
We can use those.
Come on now. You won't let us kill babies. That's true.
Well, that's
close.
about what it was. You really didn't miss much. That was a great summary. Thank you, AI.
So since this is a fact checking show today. We aren't going to get through all the checking and all the facts that we're lied about.
That would be forever.
We're actually going to do just a quick summary, and then we're going to get a couple areas that we want to fact check. So roll next clip.
So
and we lost it.
maybe y'all don't know
What
this.
you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals.
If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages.
Migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris,
FBI defraud.
Honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people.
And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican,
judge looked at it.
and said
They
there was
said
no
we didn't have
widespread
standing.
fraud.
That's the other thing.
There was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Wow, they caped up for her.
What?
You know, what we watched, it was 3 hours, the whole live show was.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to thank everybody who was, all the guys who contributed. That was, I forgot about Robert Bortons. Robert, I'm sorry. He was there last night for a little bit. Thank you for being with us. But they, in 3 hours, it doesn't feel that intense. You know, you have those moments.
No, we were able to like pause, take a deep breath, get a drink of water.
But they caped up for her. And I mean, this is radical.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Well, it's funny because there's actually some hilarious memes that have kind of come out about this, and because the moderators obviously were on Team Kamala,
right?
And if you guys watched our debate last night, William Wolf had a great line. He just said, "I'm surprised the moderators also didn't have closing statements."
Right. Well, several times the debate actually was between them. I mean, Trump, as you saw in the clip, I mean, Trump was starting to he's like, no. When he was talking about all the lawfare, all the FBI, all the cases against him, and like they were actually starting to argue in the middle of the debate.
Yeah.
But one of the things I picked up.
So poor form.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Completely unprofessional by the ABC hosts.
But let's be honest, we should have expected it.
Yeah.
Guys, we've been through COVID. We shouldn't have been so surprised. We're like, we expect that. But one of the things that was really interesting last night was the way the information, if you're on social media and you're engaging kind of in the more Twitter sphere or X sphere, Elon sphere now, I guess we should call it. Yeah. There is a different narrative, a conversation and content you get over there that you don't get any other social platform, right? And Trump sounds way more like he's in that category of the world. Everything else was like mainstream media that Kamala was talking about. It was like the mainstream media has not confirmed this yet, therefore it did not happen. But anybody who's got their ear to the ground and paying a little attention to social media on the X side, they heard all the same things on that they've been seeing on X, they've heard from Trump. And there's this comparison between kind of the freer side, the freer market that doesn't run through mainstream media that Trump was talking versus the mainstream media saying we haven't put our approval that this is truth yet. And so there was a battle there of narrative.
Like with the eating the cats and the ducks,
exactly,
all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
In particular, because there's people that are like on the ground and they're like filming it, and there's videos, and it's like, hey, my cat's gone, or they're doing all this stuff, and they're driving cars and hitting people.
And they said we checked with city manager.
Yeah, we checked with the city manager, and he says there's no confirmed cases of this. But that's an example, though, of that sort of mainstream old school media and X.
On the ground, free market,
and their own iPhone and all that stuff.
The new free media. I think in some ways it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the election, because as this builds, I think there is more and more of an exodus happening.
Yes.
From the mainstream media, ABC, CNN, all these. I mean, it's and people are pouring onto X and other platforms. The media is decentralizing.
Yep.
And that's going to be interesting to watch in terms of how that impacts, because I think you're right. I think a lot of people were hearing things on that the debate last night where you get your news is helping you figure out who makes more sense.
Yes, of the world. Yeah, yeah, and what's going on the ground. Yeah. I agree.
So I don't understand this next one, but we're going to get into actually fact checking here. Okay. So there's a big, probably 8-minute back and forth on abortion, roughly. I mean, there's a long time on abortion.
Yeah. We paused it, and so we don't know how long the actual time was. It was about 45 minutes for us.
There was a number of back and forths on abortion there last night.
It came up.
But the thing that we're going to fact check is the moderator who was fact checking Trump. That didn't even show up here, actually. The other moderator checked it. Yeah, so they missed one.
That's another fact check.
That's another fact check. They missed it. So here's the lady moderator fact-checking Trump on abortion, because Trump was basically arguing. He said, they want to, abortion up to 9 months or even worse.
Yeah, or after.
Yeah.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Okay.
No state.
No state.
Okay.
Where it's legal.
Now, compare that to last night, Greg Moore just fact-checked that right in the middle of it.
Right.
I live in Michigan. We passed Proposal 22-3 with 57% of the vote. It was a constitutional amendment that says a woman has a constitutional right to terminate a baby up to the moment of birth or after if it helps protect her mental health. It is vague on purpose. You can go look it up. Wikipedia is fine, but you can go look it up. Michigan Proposal 22-3, 57% of my fellow Michiganders voted for that mess. So what Harris is saying is absolutely a lie. It is legal in the state of Michigan. It has been done. It's vague on purpose. If a woman goes to a doctor and she's in her 8th or 9th month and says, my mental health is suffering because of this baby, rip it out of me. It's absolutely legal. And in that proposal, you cannot prosecute the woman at all.
Wow.
So fact check. And so our actually intern last night live in the debate produced this little fact check.
Whoa.
A map of basically all the states in some vague way that will allow for partial birth abortion.
So wait, if I'm reading this right, so the blue is no restrictions based on, what does it say, gestational?
Gestational duration.
So the blue is the most extreme.
Yes.
Wow, Minnesota?
And Alaska.
Minnesota and Michigan. But what they say is you can abort up to 9 months.
Yeah.
But when does that 9 months stop? When does that third trimester stop?
Right.
While the woman's I can't even say wife. While the woman's having a baby.
Right.
What is a woman?
So if you remember, so this actually went viral. Roseanne O'Donnell retweeted this and everything.
Nice.
Is
just 2 million views.
Yeah, just within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So good job, intern.
Is that his name? Intern?
Mr. Intern.
Mr. Intern.
Yeah, well, I don't want him getting postcards like this. You know what I'm saying? Especially after this tweet, he got going viral. But if you remember, we covered this on the show a couple years ago, and Trump actually referenced this in the debate last night. But if you remember in Virginia, they were trying to pass
the former governor.
Yeah, the former governor, Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe.
McAuliffe.
Me and Docs were trying to remember.
Yeah, there we go.
But here's the lady who wrote the bill, drafted it, and was being interviewed by, I think, a committee in Virginia. Go ahead.
Delegate Tran.
Yes, sir.
How late in a pregnancy would your bill apply if a physician would simply willing to certify that the continuation of the pregnancy would impair the mental health of the woman? How late are we talking about?
Well, so the way the suggestion that we've made in the bill is to say it's in the third trimester and at the with the certification of the physician. So
how late in the third trimester would you be able to do that?
It's very unfortunate that our physicians, witnesses, were not able to attend today to speak specifically.
No, I'm talking about your bill. How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
Or physical health.
Okay. I'm talking about the mental health.
So, through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the third trimester.
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
So,
Oh, look at those hands.
where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, she has physical signs of that she is about to give a birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would
I understand
make at
that. I'm asking if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
So this, thank God, this bill in Virginia didn't make it, and this is 2019.
Wow.
But the point is, and we've been talking about this, I mean, the pro-life movement, Christians have been talking about this for decades, where do you want abortion to stop? 15 weeks, 2 months, second trimester, third trimester, that kind of thing. We've all known that the leftists for the longest time want to push here.
Right.
And then Trump last night, and Trump's been pretty good on this side of the pro-life movement.
Right.
He's been horrible on the other side of it, but on this side of it, he's been talking about, basically murdering the baby after birth. You had the Virginia governor reference this bill, because this is what they're arguing in 2019. The Virginia governor referenced this bill, and he said, yeah, there's a scenario in this bill where it would allow for, if the mother had the baby, we would wrap it up and put it on the side and talk about if that baby is going to get aborted or not. You remember that?
Yeah.
I wish we had the clip. We don't have the clip, but we thought about it. And so here's this bill didn't pass, but that's what all these bills are built off of.
Right.
The ambiguity.
Right.
Of what is the third trimester? When is the third trimester in? Dilation, whatever.
I don't remember which guest it was we had on the show last night, William Wolf, or maybe I just want to call him our attorney, Davis Yuntz.
Yeah.
But I think one of them mentioned the fact that partial birth abortion is still illegal. It's still legal in some states, which is actually intentionally.
Vague.
A baby is born though.
Yeah.
It's partially born.
Right.
And then they kill the baby.
Yeah.
Like that's what a partial birth abortion is. You act like the baby comes out the birth canal and they kill the baby.
My point is, I don't think the bill referenced partial birth abortion. But I think it's that same kind of vagary that allows for it.
But my point is, if you're allowed to partially birth the baby and then kill it, of course you can fully birth the baby and then kill it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's legal to partially, where are you going to be like?
Well, don't you got to take it out to fully abort it at that point?
Like 9 inches out, 10 inches. I mean, it doesn't matter.
It's not fully born though yet, Pastor.
But
not fully born.
No, but
your humanity starts another 4 inches, little one.
When your ankle's out.
Yes, that's not. That's
but that's what I'm just saying. I'm just saying the barbarism, the brutality, the absolute murderous nature of this, where it's like we can birth the baby halfway out, and then we can jam scissors into the back of his neck and crush its skull.
That's right.
Like, I mean, you can't. Like, Trump is perfectly correct. He's absolutely right. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And this
ABC host,
right?
It's egregious that she. I mean, imagine the words coming out of your mouth. It's like, oh yeah, we can abort a baby, but you're wrong,
right?
About the partial birth abortion stuff.
Well, that was what was
like
really,
that's your argument,
right?
Well, yeah, that was. I was thinking about that. I think we talked about it before the show started. She's like, "I'm sorry, President Trump. There is no
state.
Yeah, there's no state where full term babies are aborted."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, did she just say babies?
Yeah.
So you're saying we kill the babies before they're born,
right?
Okay, but
it is a baby.
But it is a baby,
right.
Which, by the way, is a massive lose for us. The pro-life movement spent so much time thinking that if we can convince these wicked people that it was a baby, then maybe that we underestimated their cruelty and their wickedness.
Right.
And now they're using the words that we trained. They're like, okay, we won't call it fetus anymore.
It's a baby.
It's a baby.
Right.
We still can kill it.
Right.
And my
that's
Twitter
not a
threads,
win.
In my Twitter and Facebook threads last night, I saw multiple women, including David French, saying how excited they were about Kamala Harris.
You just said including David French.
I did, absolutely. That was not a slip. Absolutely excited about Kamala Harris debating Trump and how she's just going to wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Multiple confessing Christians. These are the women that I saw were Christians.
Right. Yeah.
including David French.
Thank you. You've
made a
You said all that just to poke a little bit.
There's a woman.
I think we
don't do trans, Gabe.
I think actually I want to circle back. It wouldn't surprise me. Like, I mean, maybe that lady. What's her name? Doesn't even know her name. What's
the host?
Yeah, what's the lady's name? The hostess on the
I don't know.
ABC.
Put it in our notes.
Their names have been going around.
Yeah.
Anyways, it wouldn't surprise. I mean, she might be lying her head off.
Mm-hmm.
That's one possibility. It's also possible that she's just reading the notes in front of her, and she's like, and so like she's hooked up to the mass media. Hose, like we were just talking a minute ago.
Yep.
I really do think people live in bubbles.
And they're feeding her.
They're people who live in bubbles, and they're just in the CNN bubble. They're in this leftist progressive
ABC bubble.
This Kamala Harris bubble. And they have this, the
Lindsay
messaging.
Davis. Lindsay Davis is the host.
Lindsay Davis. She could very well be living in that bubble.
Yeah.
And she's just reading what her supervisors say. But this is also part of the problem of what we're living in is that is people have for too long have not been challenged to actually think for themselves.
No.
Not actually double check and triple check. We're required to have 2 and 3 witnesses to verify facts, truth.
Yeah.
And
not modern journalists.
Yeah. And I think this is a good example though of either she's lying her head off and she knows, or she really is that ignorant, and she's a product of the modern public school and and media movement. Like they're just being given facts. But not being taught to think.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the fact. Here's the fact.
Yep.
And it's just here's the information you need to know. And you're just a machine. And that's what happens.
Did you see
we all lose from that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you see all the pictures last night of Kamala Harris's earrings?
I saw a few.
So there's kind of a conspiracy theory going on right now about Kamala Harris's earrings looked very much similar to another pair of earrings that allow you to Bluetooth and hear other people.
Yeah.
And look like almost a replica of it where they're feeding in.
I don't care.
Well, yeah, it doesn't
I
matter. But I'm
literally
just saying,
don't care.
If Lindsay's getting piped in information,
right?
Kamala Harris. I mean, it's possible she could be getting piped in information.
Of course. I look, man, if they're willing to kill babies, why don't you think they cheat every possible way they can?
Exactly.
Like I don't trust these people.
No.
I don't trust any of them. And it's part of my concern with Trump. I thought that Wolf said something really good last night. He's like, unfortunately, Trump is not good on this issue because this is not a big issue for him to care about. He cares about it a little bit, but not. It's not his main thing. Right. He part of his reason for saying this issue has torn our country apart. What he did, trying to send abortion back to the states, was to say, all right, y'all deal with it. I don't have to deal with it on the federal level. Get off my plate. So that was his move, so that he can try and get the country running again financially, and everybody's making money, and he's go back and build some more buildings or whatever.
He looks at his abortion like a secondary issue.
But yes, exactly. But the issue is, though, if you can't understand the value of a human life, then when it comes time for payment, when it comes time for economic growth, all the values that matter for a human being, you're going to be a little slighted on those.
Right.
And so it's hard to trust somebody who doesn't value someone at the point of conception.
Yeah. Right. So here's Kamala. This has come up. Biden used this, and now Kamala's using this, that Trump basically said if he gets elected, there's going to be or if he doesn't get elected, there's going to be a bloodbath. Okay, that's the context of what Kamala's arguing for when she uses the term bloodbath. Roll her clip first.
On that point, Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
Weren't they the ones talking about the summer of death during COVID?
Yeah.
Was it Biden talking about that? Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's her.
Right.
And they've used this term bloodbath and uses multiple times. We actually should have put a collage together.
Yeah.
Here's Trump and what he actually said.
Okay.
Mexico has taken, over a period of 30 years, 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it. Went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. A friend of mine,
Okay, that's enough. So basically, he's referencing there's going to be a bloodbath in the car auto manufacturing industry.
Right.
That's
the
it.
economy and manufacturing and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know, it's striking to me as he's talking, like Kamala is bringing this up, like he's somehow maybe insinuating violence.
Right.
The comeback should have been, you guys have been calling me a threat to democracy. You've been telling me that I'm an existential threat to our way of life.
Yeah.
And I got shot and literally bled on a stage because of the way you all are talking.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
That would have been fantastic.
He brought up his assassination attempt one time, and it was
kind of almost a passing.
It was a passing thing at the end of a at the end of an answer, and he was talked over and stuff. I think a number of people pointed out that there were a number of missed opportunities.
Oh yeah.
For Trump, but
he took the bait.
But you know, she's talking about this, you know, metaphorical language about the economy collapsing. Yeah. He actually got shot at.
Yeah, right.
because of their
because of their unhinged rhetoric about the threat that Trump is.
That's right.
Although I do think he's a threat to their corruption.
Yeah.
I think he is a threat to all the ways that they've been using lawfare and weaponizing the FBI and all the corruption in the deep state. I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think he is a threat to that.
Yeah.
But that's actually going to restore. If he is able to do something there, that would actually restore a semblance of our constitutional republic, not destroy it.
Right. And so another fact check here. This is we've actually fact checked this multiple times on our show. Remember when Charlottesville happened?
Oh yeah.
Well, Charlotte made favorable comments. How they're fine people on both sides.
Yeah. Charlotte.
When I
his name is definitely Trump.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Where he was making comments about how there was fine people on both sides.
And she brought it up again.
She brought it up again. She brought up a couple things like this that he had said, and she twisted it, which is a certain kind of evil to do that,
right?
To take someone's words.
Even Snopes said it wasn't true.
Yeah, even Snopes, and we have that here too. But here's her talking about Trump's, there were good people on both sides, quote.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
Here's what Trump actually said.
Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
There we go.
Like, pretty clear.
Yeah. Like, very clear. I'm not talking about neo-Nazis. I'm not talking about white nationalists. They should be condemned. I'm talking about people who are simply protesting the removal of a statue and the renaming of a park.
And so Snopes, what's funny is Snopes actually, you brought this up, Toby. Fact check this. In June 2024.
Oh,
well, that was when it was last updated.
No, Trump did not call neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people.
That's right. And so it's amazing to me that this is still the Democrats are still kind of using this because apparently it works. I mean, why would they not throw these kind of bombs if it didn't work?
Yeah.
Well, if all you do is believe mainstream media and believe the Democratic Party, then this is going to work.
If you're in that bubble,
if you aren't listening to Cross Politics, if you aren't listening,
if you just got all you went through public school, and you were not taught critical thinking skills
and to draw distinctions,
yeah. I mean, yeah. But listen carefully. I mean, I was even. This is a little bit of a sidetrack, but
please, I love sidetracks.
I posted something this week. I haven't even had a chance to comment yet, but on Facebook actually was where it got the most interesting. I just said that I thought that we should make sure that our daughters are highly educated.
Yeah.
I followed that a little bit.
Oh, they got you some heat.
And there's like, I don't know, like 50 people on there, and
oh, you shouldn't send them to public university because that's not the place to go.
Right.
I was like, did you say that?
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And I was like you know how like there's a little snark.
Oh yeah.
Like down in your heart.
Oh yeah.
It's from like Adam.
A snarky spirit.
It's from Adam, you know, and you have to like kill it.
Yeah.
I had to kill it a little bit.
You got to walk away from the keyboard.
But it's like, you know, maybe
I'll let the Lord use you.
But
let him use you.
But you know, it's like, I mean,
say it, Pastor.
I don't think the people that were most concerned read what I wrote. That's almost
as nice as you could say that.
I don't think they read it and read it like in terms of like coherent sentences that you know add up
one followed another
to ideas that are making a point. They didn't do that.
So you haven't responded at all?
No, I haven't said anything. I don't really have time. I mean, there's.
Why is that?
Why is what?
Why is it that they couldn't read the words you wrote? Instead, they saw the words you wrote and heard something else. What's the disconnect?
I don't know, but apparently, Bill says they're not educated. I didn't say it, but Bill, our studio audience, he says no, but it's like that's why reading comprehension is so important.
It's that basic. You know, it was something else. You know, going through and you got to forgive me. I look at fact checking, and I'm tying this back to the issues on how we fought the pro-life movement. And ever since watching that over the years, I always feel like conservatives fight stuff kind of wrongly. We don't understand how to engage it. I think Trump last night missed some opportunities to really set forth kind of what I wanted to see from him, which is like, it's going to be better with me, right? And not take the bait in a lot of ways. But fact-checking, I don't know how much it actually does anything to move people either away from one side or the other. Yeah. Like, I think people are comfortable with the lie.
Yeah.
And so
on both sides, because we didn't fact check Trump tonight.
It was just so egregious. I get it. Like,
but Kamala was.
They were checking Trump.
We were assuming they were doing their. All their fact checks are horrible.
Yeah, they didn't.
Like,
this is like a blazing right here. Like, okay, there's both good people on both sides. Right. Everybody should have known. Like, okay, yeah, we got caught up on that because we saw a clip on the internet and we all took the bait. Yeah. We were wrong, Kamala. That's not right. Apologize to the man. Right. They didn't do anything on that. So you see that. So then I get it because you say, okay, there's a bias there. Well, we know there's a bias. I get going through all the fact checking, but what is it really going to do at the end of the day now that we've realized that, oh, guess what? A huge shocker. Kamala Harris was lying and the news media was on her side. Mm-hmm. You needed more evidence.
Right.
This is where I go back to where your point is like, what other evidence did you need to know about that? And why are you so turned up about it? We knew that. That's not new.
It's still worth.
I feel like Dennis Green. We knew who they were.
I feel like I don't know the reference, but I think
football people do.
Yeah, okay. I think it's still worth pointing out. I don't think nobody should be shocked.
No, but
nobody should be surprised.
Right, I got it.
But it should be pointed out.
Right, but we pointed out as if we just won the argument of what we were trying to accomplish in the debate.
Yeah, well.
Right, like, and that's how people, like, so the Daily Wire did their whole fact-checking thing is ding, 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 ding. Right, Kamala is lying. Everybody knows that, right? We know that we can't trust her as a leader.
Half the country doesn't.
No, that's the thing, is I believe they do. They don't care.
Okay.
And we spend our time fighting over the idea that if we tell them the truth about this, these insane people who are willing to kill babies will all of a sudden start to care and will change minds because they heard the truth.
You mean she's lying?
Hey, listen, the thing that's moving around in your tummy is a human being.
Right. Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna. What you mean? No, it's not. Right. What do you think it turns into?
Right.
Like, what do you like? You think it has a moment where it's not a human? All of a sudden, I heard somebody argue it was a parasite. Like, you a lying wonder. You know, ain't no parasite.
Lie.
Yeah, all you do is lie. Like, you're not looking for a true statement about this.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, what you're saying? We fight poorly.
Yes,
because we're taking things like ping pong balls and bouncing them off their foreheads. And we think that if we just keep bouncing it off their forehead, at some point they'll say, "Oh, I'm lying." And so, but what do you do instead?
That's the thing that I'm still struggling with, because this is kind of somewhat of a new battle. I think in the fact that
just the lies are so brazen.
I don't think we've had an education that has taught us that there's something bigger than just pointing out their lie. Right. And so I'm still working through that. And I think part of the responsibility is, for instance, I think the whole debate last night, all of it was really a report card for us about where we are at.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Were you, good. So I'm not tripping. And the lying from both sides, because there were good people on both sides who were lying. But all of that was a reflection for the kind of people that we are. And I look at that, I'm thinking to myself, man, we are the kind of people that have to have the government work out deals for us to go buy medicine.
Yeah.
From a store. Right. They're going to negotiate pricing for us.
Yeah.
We have to have a government that is going to figure out, how to make sure that we can make more money. They're going to create opportunities and jobs for us. Right. We are so inept to just be humans that we are expecting our humanity to come from what the government can give us. Yeah. That the only thing that was happening David Reese said something so well. There was no talk about the Constitution. Right. There was no talk about there was no talk about keeping and preserving the thing that our forefathers had given us so that we have freedom to do all these other things. There was no talk about freedom.
Right.
No talk about freedom.
That's right.
Right. The only talk was who was going to get the best deal to get from the government that they can, so they wouldn't have to do as much as they should do as a human being.
So here's a homework item that you guys should do. Next day, wake up, and throughout the day, everything you do, check yourself and see if the government's involved in that.
Huh.
So when you go outside and you get in your car, don't put on your seatbelt. Right? When you drive down the road and you're going, 56 and a 55. Yeah. When you go and you can just think of everything that happens that day. All the rules and regulations that make sure electricity comes to your house. It's like, I'm sorry, we don't need the government to tell us how to bring electricity to our house. We need to be wise and smart, and we need the free market.
People think like, well, what would we do?
What would we do?
What would we do?
That's dangerous.
That's
dangerous.
That's the point.
That's not safe.
Yeah.
Love your neighbor.
Freedom is not safe. Freedom is not safe. That's exactly right.
I know.
And so I've been thinking about how do you restore them? Because to me, it's not the guys on the stage that I'm worried about. What they were selling was to a group of people who are incapable of taking care of themselves.
Right.
That's what they were selling.
Yeah, I was reading. I started reading Thomas Sowell's big book, Economics, Basic Economics. This is a big tome on economics, and towards the beginning, he has a quote where he said that apparently Mikhail Gorbachev, who's the last sitting president of the Soviet Union, was visiting England and was chatting with the British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher at the time, so probably late 80s would be my guess. And he asked her, he says, "How do you make sure all the people get food?" And her answer was, "I don't. The markets do." But he's a Soviet.
Yeah.
And as Soviet
he thinks it's his responsibility.
He's running a command economy.
Yeah.
A command economy is top down. There's a central planning committee that makes sure that everybody in the country gets food. But not only that, every product has to be run through the central committee. Yeah. And Margaret Thatcher says, "I don't do that." And I was asking kids in my economics class about that, because I was thinking like do you ask the president for your food?
We do now.
Right. It's like, well, it's creeping. It's creeping because they're standing up there on the stage saying, "I'll get you food. I'll at least get you cheaper food. I'll get you medicine. I'm going to get you cars. I'm going to get you jobs."
Yes.
And that is that's a creeping Soviet economy. That's a creeping Marxist economy. That's a creeping command economy. That's not a free market economy where people provide for themselves, work together with other people, and form relationships and markets, and we provide for one another. Yeah. That's something that you're right. We did not hear much about that at all.
And if you had, because I was thinking about this, we'll never have a president like Ron Paul if we don't become the kind of people who need a leader like that.
Amen. That's right.
Like, I mean, like, just we are the kind of people who needs a leader, either like Trump or Kamala.
Yeah.
That we really do, probably more Kamala, when I think about it.
No, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so how do you fix this is kind of what I've been struggling with. And this is not a Jesus juke. I'm being honest to God here. This is not a Jesus juke. I saw all the lies have been happening around cats and ducks and people eating it. Some of it's true, some of it's a lie. We don't know. Everybody has a different story. It's like, how do we know the truth? How do we know that we can trust our news age? We can't trust any of our institutions. There's only one institution that I really want to put my trust into right now.
The Word of God.
That's the church.
Yeah.
I want to trust that institution because I think there's still disciplines. There's still supposed to be disciplines that are there in the institution. And so that institution is the only hope that I think we have over the next 40 years is for people to get in their churches, for the churches to preach the unadulterated, copious word of God in every area. And when we are trying to get to the bottom of something, like we're trying to get to about the ducks and the cats and all the Haitians and that stuff, we're going to have a pastor come on tomorrow who's on the ground in that city.
In Ohio, in Springfield.
And going to be able to tell us what's going on there. Yeah. And because of what his oaths are to, what he swears to, we can trust that that's truth.
Yeah.
I can lean on that. I can go all the way there and say, okay, I can trust that.
I think I got to push back just a little bit because I mostly agree. But the thing is unfortunately people cannot trust the church.
Well, shepherds are for sale, obviously. That's my point. That's why I was laughing. Like,
So it's like the church is where the word of God is to be proclaimed. Yeah. The church is where we're to have shepherds who are willing to lay their lives down for the flock,
right?
Who cannot be bought, who cannot be purchased, who are not Judases, who are not wolves, who are not hirelings. Unfortunately, the American church is full of hirelings. The American church is full of wolves. The American church is, and Paul warned the Ephesian elders in Acts 20. He said, I'm concerned there's wolves that are going to come up in your midst. He's talking to the elders already and saying, I'm worried about some of you. And then later writes to Timothy, who's helping the church get going in Ephesus, and he's saying, you got people there who want to be teachers and they should not be teachers. Right. They're shipwrecking the faith. They're arguing about stupid stuff. Yep. They're leading people astray. And so I think you're right. The Word of God and faithful churches. The Word of God and churches where the pastor preaches the Word and doesn't care what it sounds like. Yeah. He takes flack for saying, no, this is what the Bible says, and this is what you got to find that kind of church. And if you don't have one of those churches, you got to go. You can either go start one or you go find one. You move to find one.
But that's the only. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that answers a lot, just in terms of like, okay, well, how do debates like this even get to a point in culture where like no one's pulling their hair out at how crazy that debate
because
was?
Because of the church.
That's right, and because we don't read God's word carefully, like go into your Facebook post, like they're having a hard time reading your sentences.
And these are like good Christians, I assume. I don't know.
And I don't know any of them.
All
so
these people. I'm not saying anything about. I assume like they're good Christians, but like that's the state of our church.
Get uncareful. In these debates, the moderators actually don't flip out. In fact, they defend abortion. In the debate,
right?
And then Kamala Harris's lies about Trump that have been obviously debunked, and as everything's on record, is they don't care. They ultimately care about power. We're gonna. You already brought up tomorrow. We're gonna be having a pastor on to talk about Springfield, Ohio, and I think at the bottom of all what's going on, there's 20,000 illegal immigrants now in Springfield, Ohio, and at the bottom of all this, I think it's all money and power.
Yeah,
that's what's driving all this.
And I think a lot of American pastors are after the same thing.
Yeah.
Now they've twisted it in their head and they've believed lies, and I think a lot of them they think they're doing it for Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
I need this kind of influence for Jesus. I need this kind of influence for the gospel. I need this kind of influence, this kind of power, so that I can lead the people. But Jesus said this about the Pharisees. He said, "You go, you travel land and sea, in order to make a disciple who's twice the son of hell as you are."
That's right.
And that's the thing. Like people need to understand. Like evangelism is not automatic good.
Yeah.
Right.
Big crowds in churches is not an automatic good.
That's right.
There are a lot of churches that have made people twice the sons of hell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evangelism that has not helped people at all.
Look at America.
It's tickled. I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the head of, Dr. Russell Moore's buddy, Francis Collins. Is a professing evangelical Christian who was the president or the head of the NIH during COVID. totally botched COVID.
Yeah.
That was horrendous. But meanwhile, he was funding experiments where they were taking aborted baby scalps and grafting them on the back of rats.
See if they can get them to grow.
I mean, that's the state of the evangelical church.
Yep.
I mean, as far as I know, he's not been excommunicated. As far as I know, there's been no public outrage.
Well, he's an evolutionist too.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that all makes sense.
And David French is celebrating Kamala.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. And it's like, I mean, who exactly are the Nazis?
Yeah.
I mean, like we are.
Yeah. Right.
We make them look kind and gentle.
That's right.
I mean, what we've done to babies.
And we've castigated Hitler over the years in our history books and
he was a monster.
He was a monster.
He was a complete monster. But like,
and the millions of people that died he died at Hitler's hands. Right. The Jews that died at Hitler's hands is nothing in comparison to the babies that we've killed.
We're like, how could he do that? We're like, we have a much larger pile of corpses
because the hosts, the moderators, are doing it.
Yeah, and the pastors are doing it. The pastors are the ones doing it.
You opened your Bible for something.
I know, but I might just jump into
you should read the ad and let's go into Psalms.
Yeah, let's just go to the Psalms. Yeah. Romans 1, that's what I was going to. I was going to Romans 1. I was just thinking in terms of truth and lies and debauchery. That might be the place for people to look later. But we're going to be feasting on God's word, laughing with friends, and fighting with joy on Reformation Weekend this fall, the Fight, Laugh, Feast Prodigal America Conference. If you've never been to a Fight, Laugh, Feast conference, I just want to invite you.
They're fantastic.
We're in Dallas, Texas this year. Fort Worth, actually. Sorry. Texas takes that personally. Fort Worth. What better way to ring in the 2024 presidential election is the weekend right before the election? Join us October 31st, November 2nd. Get your tickets at prodigalamerica.com. That's prodigalamerica.com. Steve Dace is going to be there. Dusty Devers, George Grant, a bunch more. Am I supposed to keep reading? America has strayed far from the God the Father. She has fallen into a pit of sexual perversion, abortion, and a corrupt welfare state swelling with bureaucratic blood, greed, and tyranny. So join us in the fight to bring prodigal America to repentance at the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference. Maybe it's just a second ad. I don't know. I'm just going to keep reading.
Yeah. Why not?
As always, we'll have good food, good beer, and even better fellowship. Get your tickets at prodigalamerica.com.
Love to see you guys there.
All right, Pastor, here you go.
Oh, thank you. Do you need a cup?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've been drinking this whole time.
Scotch and Psalms.
Yeah, Scotch.
Cheers to the king.
So Isaiah 49?
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
Isaiah 49.
All right.
This is not a song.
This is a song.
It's, loosely. It's an Isaac Watts. Isaac Watts wrote
He gets a pass?
He was a little looser on some of his psalm paraphrases. So sometimes it lands in a hymn, but it was almost always based on scripture. So the last few verses in particular are very close paraphrase of Isaiah 49. So the first couple verses are more of a setup, but then it goes into Isaiah 49. Let me read you. So the tune that you're hearing is called Africa by William Billings.
I miss the rains down in Africa. That's not.
Okay. Nope, different, definitely different.
My fault.
But the hymn title is "Now Shall My Inward Joys Arise," and it's a poem. It's a hymn that Isaac Watts wrote based on Isaiah 49. Okay. I'm gonna read you the words. Here are the verses. Now shall my inward joys arise and burst into a song. Almighty love inspires my heart and pleasure tunes my tongue. God on his thirsty Zion hill, some mercy drops his throne and solemn oaths has bound his love to shower salvation down. Why do we then indulge our fears, suspicions, and complaints? Is he a God and shall his grace grow weary of his saints? Can a kind woman, this is the part from Isaiah 49, can a kind woman e'er forget the infant of her womb? And mongst 1,000 tender thoughts, her suckling have no room. Yet saith the Lord, should nature change and mothers monsters prove, Zion still dwells upon the heart of everlasting love. Deep on the palms of both my hands, I have engraved her name. My hands shall raise her ruined walls and build her broken frame. So this hymn is based on Isaiah 49, and particularly those last 3 or 4 verses are based on verses 15 and 16. Mm-hmm. And Isaiah 48, having declared the rebellion and stiff necks of Israel, all of them transgressors from the womb, the prophet says, and the great refining fire of exile, God promises that he will bring them back from Babylon. That's in Isaiah 48. But in Isaiah 49, the prophet says that Zion is going to object. He says, I'm going to bring you back. He says, I know what you're going to say. You're going to object, and you're going to say it's too late. You're going to say the Lord has forsaken his people. You're going to say the Lord has forgotten them. And this is the answer that the Lord gives to that objection. You've forgotten us. You've forsaken us. It's too late. We were too bad. We were too wicked. And he says this, can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee.
That's right.
Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. God asks, can a mother forget her nursing child? How strong is the motherly instinct? It must be one of the strongest natural impulses in all of creation. What will a mother do for the well-being and care for her little one? Almost anything. And the prophet says, but even that intense care and love may sometimes fail. And it did in the history of Israel. And this may be a subtle reflection back, because before Israel went into exile, there were some pretty terrible sieges when the mothers sometimes desperately ate their own children.
Right.
That was a promised curse of Deuteronomy. If they turned away, that was going to happen. And the same thing has happened in our own day, as countless millions of unborn babies have been executed by the order of their own mothers. Yeah, they may forget. And in this situation, it can simply seem that God has forsaken us. Right? It's too late.
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about it. 65 million dead babies.
Yeah.
With corpses, baby scalps on the backs of lab rats, the partial birth abortions, birthing babies born and left to die.
Right.
And the God of heaven says, yet will I not forget thee. God says, behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. In the old covenant, the high priest wore a stylized breastplate with 12 precious stones on his chest: emerald, diamond, sapphire, topaz, so on. And upon each one of those precious stones was engraved one of the names of one of the tribes of Israel. What a picture of love and grace in the Old Testament. God wanted to see the names of his people in his presence when the high priest came into the most holy place once a year. He loved their names and he wanted to see them every day of atonement. But now our high priest is Jesus Christ, who has ascended into heaven itself, where he intercedes continually for us and for all his people. And our names are not merely engraved on precious stones on his chest. Our names are engraved in the palms of his hands. Our names have been cut into his hands with the holes of the nails that held him to the cross. But the fact that our names are engraved on the hands of Christ in heaven is not merely our forgiveness and salvation, though it is certainly that. Isaiah says that this means that the walls of Jerusalem are continually before him. God is not merely concerned with our eternal destinies. He's also concerned with our temporal situation. He cares for us in our families. He cares for us in our churches. He cares for us in our nation. He cares for our safety and our security and our prosperity. The new Israel in the new covenant is the Christian church. But that does not mean that God is done with nations. Rather, it means that God is now determined to save all the nations through the ministry of the church. The church is to disciple all the nations, teaching them to obey everything that God has commanded. So the hymn asks at the beginning, why do we then indulge our fears, suspicions, and complaints? Is he a God, and shall his grace grow weary with his saints? His grace will not grow weary of his saints. He died and rose again, not to attempt the salvation of the world, but to actually accomplish it. And it's been engraven on his hands.
Cheers to the king. Here.
Cheers.
I actually think we should make a rule that after every debate, we should have it should be bourbon and Psalms.
Bourbon and Psalms.
After every debate.
Scotch and Psalms.
There's not enough debates.
Yeah. Whenever they line up, if they don't line up on a beer and Psalm Wednesday, we're going to make it work. Or Tuesday now. All right, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.